Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into some more fascinating ideas?
Always.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Today, we're tackling this classic self-help book. It's all about harnessing a positive mental attitude for greater success.
It's kind of amazing how this book frames things,
Yeah.
It's not just about passively reading. It really challenges you to put these ideas into action.
It's like holding up a mirror to your mindset, forcing you to confront yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So let's get right to it. The book really emphasizes that thought shapes reality. You are what you think, as the saying goes.
Right, and they have this great metaphor to illustrate this, the invisible talisman.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it represents how the mind can attract either success through a positive mental attitude, or PMA,
Okay.
or failure through a negative mental attitude.
So NMA.
Right, NMA.
Got it.
Kind of a striking image, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's like this force you carry with you.
Right. And then there's that amazing quote by Napoleon Hill, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, the mind of man can achieve with PMA."
Powerful stuff. Really gets to the core of this idea.
Absolutely. It speaks to the potential we all have if we can truly believe in something and hold that vision.
Yeah.
But the book goes beyond just positive thinking, right? It also talks about clearing out mental cobwebs,
Oh, yeah, those thinking traps we can fall into.
the ones that can sabotage our success.
Exactly, and they use some really interesting anecdotes to illustrate these. Like, there's the story of Socrates and his wife, Xanthippe.
A philosopher. Okay, I'm intrigued.
So Socrates was renowned for his wisdom, right? But the book suggests he wasn't always so good at applying it to his personal life.
Interesting. What happened?
Well, it seems Socrates was quick to point out the faults in others, but maybe not so quick to see his own shortcomings.
Kind of like that saying about the speck in the log, right?
Exactly. And the book argues that this lack of self-awareness ultimately led to problems in his relationships.
It's a good reminder that self-reflection is key for personal growth, right? We need to be willing to examine our own flaws if we want to improve.
For sure. They've also got this anecdote about an uncle and nephew arguing about a basement.
A basement. Really?
Oh, I'm listening.
So the uncle asks his nephew to get something from the basement, but the nephew insists there isn't one.
Wait, what?
Turns out they had different definitions of what a basement actually was.
Oh, so just a miscommunication.
Right, but it escalated into an argument. It shows how easily unclear definitions and assumptions can lead to conflict.
That's so true. It makes you wonder how many arguments could be avoided with just a bit more clarity in our communication.
Totally. Then they talk about the word necessity and how it can be a double-edged sword.
Okay, necessity. Go on.
So with a positive attitude, necessity can be a powerful motivator.
Right, like necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Exactly. But
I mean,
with a negative mental attitude, necessity can become an excuse for harmful actions.
so it's not just the circumstance itself, but how we mentally approach it.
Exactly. They really hammer home the point that maintaining the right mindset is crucial, especially when things get tough. It's about choosing to respond with strength rather than succumbing to negativity.
Right on. And they don't just focus on the conscious mind either. They delve into the power of the subconscious as well.
Oh, right. So how does the book approach that?
Well, they suggest that the subconscious mind is this powerful force that can be shaped by our thoughts, especially through something called conscious autosuggestion.
Conscious autosuggestion. What's that?
It's like consciously feeding your subconscious with positive affirmations.
Like I am successful, I am healthy, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And they argue that doing this consistently can actually reprogram your subconscious mind.
Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Do they give any real-life examples of this in action?
They do. They tell the story of Bill McCall, who set a goal of becoming a millionaire. He used auto-suggestion and visualization techniques to really impress this goal upon his subconscious.
Interesting.
And he actually achieved it years ahead of his own schedule.
That's incredible. It really emphasizes the power of our thoughts to influence our reality. But is positive thinking and auto-suggestion enough to guarantee success?
That's a great question, and they address that with this concept of and something more.
And something more. I like the sound of that.
It's about going above and beyond, adding that extra effort, unique perspective, or creative twist that sets successful people apart.
Okay, give me an example. I need to know how to add this something more to my life.
Think about the Wright brothers. So many others tried and failed to achieve flight before them.
Wow.
What did the Wright brothers do differently? They made what seemed like a small adjustment, adding these little flaps to the wings, and it made all the difference.
So it's not always about massive overhauls. Sometimes it's the little things, the subtle insights that can make a huge impact.
Exactly, and you see this in Alexander Graham Bell's invention of the telephone, too.
He didn't invent the concept of transmitting sound, did he?
Right? He built upon existing technology, made this crucial tweak, and revolutionized communication.
Amazing. So the book is encouraging us to look for those opportunities to innovate, those moments where we can add our own something more.
Exactly.
So we've got the positive mindset, clearing out the mental clutter, tapping into the power of the subconscious, and looking for ways to innovate. But what about when we hit those inevitable roadblocks? How do we handle setbacks?
They have a great perspective on this. View problems not as obstacles, but as opportunities.
I like that. Turning those uh-oh moments into aha moments.
Got it. And they share the story about Charlie Ward, a man who ended up in prison. At first, he was consumed by bitterness.
Understandable.
But then he decided to make a mental shift.
So even in a situation with very little control, he focused on what he could control.
Exactly. He decided to focus on being the best prisoner he could be.
Wow.
He used his time to develop his PMA, and it ultimately led to a positive transformation in his life.
That's an incredible example of the power of mindset, even in the face of extreme adversity. But prison is a very specific situation. How does this apply to the everyday challenges we all face?
The book stresses that it's about approaching those challenges with the right mindset, seeing them as chances to learn and grow. They even talk about the power of sex.
Whoa, okay. Maybe we should save that for another deep dive.
Good idea.
Yeah.
But the point is, every problem holds the potential for growth. It's about using PMA to turn those challenges into triumphs.
It's about resilience, finding that inner strength to keep pushing forward.
Right. And speaking of seeing things differently, they also talk about learning to truly see, like beyond just physical sight.
Intriguing. Go on.
The book emphasizes that it's not just about what our eyes see, but how we perceive and interpret the world. They tell this fascinating story about George Campbell, who was blind from birth.
Okay.
And then at age 18, he gained his sight.
Wow. What an experience that must have been.
Right, but the book contrasts his experience with those who have physical sight but lack mental perception.
So they're going through life with their eyes open, but not really seeing the possibilities.
Exactly, and they argue that so many people miss opportunities because they're not truly paying attention, not really connecting the dots.
It makes you wonder how many things we overlook because we're not fully engaged with the world around us.
Absolutely. And they also tell the story of these two young men, Thompson and Cumley, who discovered these valuable beryllium deposits because they were really seeing what others missed. They paid attention to the details, and it paid off.
So it's about being observant, curious, and looking beyond the surface. But seeing opportunities is one thing, taking action is another. What does the book have to say about actually getting things done?
Well, they stress the importance of being a self-starter. Having that do-I-T attitude.
I love that, do I now.
Right. They use the story of Kenneth Harmon, a prisoner of war, to illustrate this.
Wow, prisoner of war. That's a tough situation. What did he do?
He used his time in captivity wisely. He wrote a book. He understood that if he didn't seize that moment, the opportunity might be lost.
Amazing. Even in those circumstances, finding the strength to create something meaningful.
Exactly. They also have this more lighthearted story about Jorgen Uldal, a man who lost his wallet while visiting Washington, D.C.
Oh, no.
He could have let that ruin his trip, but instead of dwelling on it, he decided to enjoy his day knowing he'd deal with the wallet situation later.
It's a good reminder that we can choose how we react, right? We don't have to let setbacks control our emotions.
Exactly. Be present, seize the moment. Now, even with a can-do attitude, we all struggle with motivation sometimes.
Oh, for sure. What does the book say about getting ourselves and others fired up?
They dig into the 10 basic motives that drive human action, from self-preservation to the desire for wealth.
Interesting. So it's like understanding what makes people tick.
Yeah, kind of. They share a heartwarming story about a stepmother who instilled this incredible confidence in her stepson, encouraging him to reach his full potential.
It's amazing how a few words of encouragement can have such a huge impact.
Right. The book also talks about the salesman who struggled until he discovered the power of motivational books.
He started reading for inspiration.
Exactly. He used them to fuel his drive, and his sales went through the roof.
So we're not just reading for knowledge, but also for that motivational boost.
Exactly. Turning knowledge into action. Now, speaking of action, let's talk about money. Is there a shortcut to riches, according to this book?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Well, they actually debunk that idea. They emphasize that, sure, luck can play a role, but lasting wealth comes from thoughtful action and strategy.
So no get-rich-quick schemes if you're looking for sustainable success. It's about putting in the work.
Right. They highlight the story of George Stafek, who used his time in the hospital to develop this successful business idea.
Turning a setback into an opportunity.
Exactly. They also introduced this concept of OPM, other people's money.
OPM. Okay, that sounds a bit risky, doesn't it?
It can be, which is why they emphasize the ethical considerations,
Yeah.
Honesty, integrity, responsibility, especially when using other people's money.
So it's about building wealth with a conscience, not just for personal gain.
Absolutely, but not everyone's an entrepreneur. What about finding satisfaction in, everyday jobs?
Right, a lot of people struggle with that, feeling stuck in a rut. What advice does the book offer?
The book makes a really interesting point. Satisfaction is an attitude, not a circumstance.
Meaning, it's something we can cultivate regardless of our job.
Exactly. One strategy they offer is the stepstone theory. It encourages viewing your current job as a stepping stone to something bigger.
Okay, so finding meaning in the present while working towards something more.
You got it. But beyond job satisfaction, is there something more? Something that can give our lives a deeper sense of purpose.
It's something we all yearn for, right? Making a real difference.
They introduce this concept of the magnificent obsession. It's this driving purpose that benefits not only ourselves, but also others.
That sounds almost spiritual.
In a way, it is. They share stories of people driven by these magnificent obsessions, like this mother who found purpose in helping others after losing her daughter. She channeled her grief into something positive.
Transforming pain into purpose. So powerful.
Right. The book also talks about Orson Swett Marden, an orphan who dedicated his life to inspiring others through writing. His magnificent obsession was empowering people to overcome adversity.
These stories really highlight how true success goes beyond personal gain. It's about making a positive impact on the world.
Absolutely. But we need to be at our best to make that impact, right? Physically and mentally. What does the book say about energy and good health?
It's easy to neglect self-care when we're busy chasing goals.
True. But they emphasize that good health is essential for success. They link PMA with both physical and mental well-being, suggesting that a positive mindset can actually improve health.
So a positive feedback loop. A positive mindset helps our health, and good health helps us achieve our goals.
Exactly. They suggest things like a balanced diet and managing stress. Taking care of our bodies is crucial for reaching our full potential.
Right. Our physical and mental health are interconnected. Do they have any examples of this in action?
They share the story of John D. Rockefeller, known for his longevity. He attributed his long life to positive habits and a positive outlook.
So it's about living a long and vibrant life full of energy.
Right. And they also talk about Dawn Fraser, a champion swimmer who used PMA to overcome setbacks and improve her performance.
She was already a champion, though, right? What was she facing?
Well, she was reading Think and Grow Rich while traveling, you see.
Okay.
And she got really inspired by Hill's ideas. She'd recently had a close loss in a relay race and was determined to improve her time.
So even at the top of her game, still striving for more.
Exactly. PMA isn't just about overcoming huge obstacles. It's about always pushing yourself to be better.
That growth mindset. So how did she use PMA to improve? Just thinking positive thoughts.
Well, not quite magic, but it's about training the mind along with the body. She visualized herself swimming perfectly and hitting her target time. She focused on her past successes to build confidence.
So combining mental and physical training, harnessing the power of the mind to enhance physical performance.
Exactly. And the book stresses that this applies to anything, not just sports. Have a clear vision, believe in yourself, take action.
Okay, so we're seeing how PMA can help with challenges, performance, even financial success. But what about happiness? Can PMA really attract happiness?
The book argues that it can. It suggests happiness is a choice, a mental attitude.
But what about external factors, things outside our control? Don't those impact happiness?
Of course, they acknowledge that those play a role. But even then, we have the power to choose our response. Focus on the positive, find the good, practice gratitude.
It's about looking for those silver linings, even when times are tough.
Exactly. They suggest things like surrounding yourself with positive people, doing things you enjoy, being kind to others.
Creating a positive environment both internally and externally.
Right. They even compare people to magnets, saying those with PMA attract positive experiences in people.
Like attracts like.
Yeah. And they even suggest using this principle to improve relationships.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
They tell a story about this young man constantly clashing with his mother, always arguing.
Oh, I think a lot of people can relate to family conflicts.
Right. Well, the book suggests he was mirroring his mother's negativity, creating this vicious cycle.
So how did he break out of that?
He was encouraged to try a different approach.
Mhm.
Instead of reacting defensively, respond with kindness, even when it's hard.
Fighting negativity with positivity.
Exactly. And it worked. The tension lessened, their relationship improved.
It's a powerful reminder that we have a choice in how we respond, even when others are being difficult.
Right. And the book applies this to any relationship, family, friends, colleagues.
Choosing understanding and compassion over negativity.
Exactly. So we're learning to attract happiness, build positive relationships, overcome negativity. But what about when we make mistakes? We all mess up sometimes. What does the book say about dealing with guilt? They actually have a whole chapter on getting rid of that guilt feeling.
It's nice that they acknowledge guilt. You know, it's a normal human emotion.
Right. They even suggest that feeling guilty can be a good thing. It means we have a conscience.
But dwelling on guilt can be paralyzing. How do we move past it?
They offer this 4-step formula.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, acknowledge the wrong and accept responsibility. No blaming others.
Owning up to your mistakes. What's next?
Express sincere remorse. A genuine desire to make things right.
So more than just saying sorry, it's about truly feeling regret.
Exactly. Then, take action to right the wrong. Apologize, make restitution, change your behavior.
Putting your remorse into action.
And lastly, forgive yourself. That's the hardest part for some, but crucial for moving forward.
Letting go and embracing the future. Do they give an example of this in action?
They do. They talk about Jim Vowis, who had a troubled past, involved in criminal activity. He was burdened with guilt.
Carrying a lot of baggage. What happened to him?
He had this profound spiritual experience and turned his life around. He dedicated himself to making amends and helping others.
Wow, he really took those steps to heart and transformed his life.
He did. It highlights that no matter what, we can always change our course and create a positive future. Take responsibility, make amends, forgive yourself.
Such a message of hope. We all make mistakes, and it's important to know we can move on.
Absolutely. And it ties into the book's whole message of empowerment and self-transformation. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our actions, our destiny.
This has been so insightful. We've covered so much: PMA, overcoming challenges, happiness, relationships, guilt.
And there's still more. The book covers practical tips for specific goals, developing personality, understanding life cycles. It's really a comprehensive guide.
Like a book you could keep coming back to throughout life.
Exactly. And they even encourage readers to take a success quotient analysis to assess their mindset.
Oh, tell me more about that. Is it like a quiz?
It's a questionnaire based on the 17 principles of success outlined in the book. It covers things like definiteness of purpose, positive mental attitudes, self-discipline, and more.
So measuring your PMA score, so to speak.
You could say that. It's not about judging yourself, but understanding where you can grow.
I like that. Empowering, not critical.
Right. And they stress that your success quotient isn't fixed. It can change as you learn and apply the principles.
An ongoing journey of self-discovery and improvement.
Exactly.
I'm excited to dive into this success quotient analysis myself. But before we do, let's recap what we've learned so far.
Sounds good.
We've talked about developing a positive mental attitude, clearing out those mental blocks, and tapping into the subconscious. We've seen how PMA can help us overcome challenges, improve performance, achieve financial success, and find greater happiness.
And we've also seen the importance of building positive relationships, dealing with guilt in a healthy way, and finding a purpose beyond just ourselves.
It's been an incredible journey so far.
It has, and it's not over yet. When we come back, we'll explore the success quotient analysis and how we can actually put these principles into practice to unlock our full potential.
All right, let's dig into this success quotient analysis. I'm curious to see what it reveals.
Remember, it's all about gaining self-awareness, not about getting a perfect score.
Right, it's a tool for growth.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing we're looking at?
Well, it starts with definiteness of purpose. And it asks this really fundamental question. Have you decided upon a definite major goal in life?
Wow, right to the point. Makes you really think about your overall direction.
Exactly. It's about having a clear, specific goal, not just a vague idea.
Right, that makes sense.
And then it builds on that by asking, have you set a time limit for reaching that goal?
Adding that deadline element, it's like, okay, time to get serious.
Right. Turning a wish into a plan. Then it asks, do you have specific plans for achieving your goal in life?
So it's not enough to just dream big. You need a roadmap.
You got it. And the last question in this section is, have you determined what definite benefits your goal in life will bring you?
Oh, that's important, understanding your why.
Right.
What's the motivation, the driving force behind it all?
Exactly. That motivation is key for overcoming obstacles and achieving success. Okay, next up is positive mental attitude.
Right, bring on the PMA.
The first question here is, do you know what is meant by a positive mental attitude?
Sometimes we need a reminder of the basics, right? Making sure we really understand what PMA is all about.
Absolutely. And then it asks, do you control your mental attitude?
That's the real challenge, isn't it? Choosing our thoughts and reactions even when things get tough.
It's about recognizing that we have that choice. And then it gets even more practical, asking, do you understand and apply the power of positive thinking in your personal and professional life?
Putting it into action. Making it a part of how we approach everything.
Exactly. And finally, it tackles those deeper fears that can hold us back. Are you reasonably free from those 7 basic fears?
Yes, the 7 fears. Fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, death. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
It covers a lot of ground, and the book suggests that these fears, if we let them, can really prevent us from living fully.
So it's not about pretending we don't have those fears, but about facing them and moving forward anyway.
Exactly. All right, moving on to habits. This category looks at how our daily habits impact success.
Okay, habits. I know those can make or break us.
Right. It asks things like, do you have a program of self-improvement? Do you save money regularly? Control your spending? Budget your time?
So recognizing that success is built on those daily actions, those consistent habits.
Precisely. And they even mention the importance of getting enough sleep. Do you get sufficient sleep and rest?
Oh, that's a big one. We can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. Right. Taking care of our physical and mental well-being is essential. Okay, so we've got definiteness of purpose, positive mental attitude, and habits. What else is there?
I'm ready for more.
Well, it goes on to explore controlled attention, focusing your thoughts effectively, and imagination, your capacity for creative thinking and problem solving. And then there's enthusiasm as a driving force.
It's fascinating how all these different aspects of our mindset contribute to success.
Absolutely. It shows that success is not just about talent or intelligence. It's about developing the right mental habits and attitudes.
So beyond those, what other categories are there?
It covers things like self-discipline, accurate thinking, learning from defeat, cooperation, cosmic habit force, the mastermind principle, and even the 6th sense.
Wow, that's a lot. It really seems to touch on everything.
It's pretty comprehensive. But remember, the goal is not to be perfect in every area. It's about using this analysis to learn and grow.
Right, turning self-awareness into action. So once you've done the analysis, what's next? How do you actually put this knowledge to work?
The book encourages revisiting the ideas regularly, focusing on areas for improvement. It's about making these principles a part of your everyday life.
Not just theory, but actual practice.
Exactly. And as you apply these principles, you'll likely find your success quotient naturally increases, leading to a more fulfilling life.
This has been such a powerful reminder that we have the power to shape our own success. I feel really inspired to put these ideas into action.
That's great. And remember, success is a journey, not a destination. Embrace challenges, learn from setbacks, and always strive to be your best. With a positive mental attitude, you can achieve amazing things.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into success through a positive mental attitude. We hope you found it as inspiring as we did. Remember, success starts with a thought, a belief in yourself, and the courage to take action. Until next time, keep those mental talismans pointed towards success.